I grew up in South Africa, the kind of place where the hustle is in the air and success isn't handed to anyone. I knew from a young age that if I wanted to make it big, I had to work for it. Now, at 40, I'm a well-established businessman with a thriving enterprise. My life, however, hasn't been what you might call balanced. The hours I spend on my business leave little to no room for personal time or relationships. I've never been the kind of man to chase after women. To me, they were always distractions, temptations I couldn't afford. Considering the work I had ahead of me, I had one dream, though, a clear vision of the kind of woman I wanted in my life. She had to be strong, ambitious, successful in her own right, and, above all, refined. I wasn't looking for someone who would just sit beside me and watch my success. I needed a partner, someone who would stand with me as an equal. With my business taking up every ounce of my energy, I didn't expect it to be easy, but I was determined to find her. Life, however, has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. One evening, I was out with Junior, a close friend of mine. We were at a quiet restaurant, the kind where the food is good, but the real draw is the peace it offers after a long day. As we were talking, I noticed her, sitting alone at a table not far from ours, looking like she belonged in a different world. She had this aura of confidence, but it was mixed with an understated elegance that caught my attention. Junior noticed me staring and gave me a nudge. I laughed it off, but there was something about her that stuck with me. After dinner, we left, but something told me that wasn't the end of it. The next day, I saw her again at the same restaurant, and this time, we exchanged numbers. We started talking, and I couldn't help but feel this connection. She was beautiful, no doubt, but there was more to her than just looks. She told me how responsible she was, how many suitors had come and gone, all rejected because none of them were serious. When I saw you, I knew you were different, she said. You're responsible. You have that presence about you. I didn't think much of it at first. She seemed like the type of woman who had her life together, someone who had standards. Over the next few weeks, we spent more time together. Dinners, phone calls, long conversations about life, dreams, and everything in between. It felt like the connection was mutual, and before I knew it, I was in love. I proposed to her, and within a few months, we were married. I was convinced I had found the woman of my dreams, until I began to notice small things I couldn't ignore. It started with the strange smell when she came home late at night. She'd always claimed she'd been at the bank, but something didn't add up. I tried not to think much of it, but the nagging suspicion grew. One evening, when she said she was heading to work, I decided to follow her. I kept my distance, not wanting her to know, but I had to know the truth. What I discovered was a far cry from the respectable woman she had led me to believe she was. She didn't go to a bank. She didn't even go to work. She spent her days at a friend's house, drinking, smoking, living a life completely different from what she had portrayed. I was stunned, shocked, even. How had I missed this? How had I not seen the signs earlier? As the days went on, the truth came to light. She wasn't who she had claimed to be. In fact, she wasn't even from South Africa. She had 4 children from different men, children she barely mentioned. She had been in town to meet one of them when we first met. The more I learned, the more I realized the woman I had married was nothing like the person I thought I had fallen in love with. One evening, my suspicions reached a boiling point. I had been following her for weeks, piecing together the lies. But tonight was different. I knew something was about to happen, something that would make everything clear. I followed her again, keeping a careful distance, until I watched her walk into a hotel with a man. My heart sank as I stood there, frozen. This wasn't the woman I married. This wasn't the woman I had dreamed of building a future with. I waited outside for hours, the night air thick with disbelief. Eventually, she came out, laughing and holding the man's arm as if nothing had happened. It was like a switch had flipped in me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. All I could do was walk up to her, my mind spinning with 1,000 thoughts. When she saw me, her smile faded, but she tried to mask it with a casual shrug. "What are you doing here?" she asked, as though we were still strangers. "You're not working at the bank, are you?" I said, my voice sharp and cold. "And you're not the woman I thought you were either." She went quiet for a moment, her eyes darting to the ground. Then, with a heavy sigh, she finally spoke. "I lied to you, Edwin. I thought maybe if I could be with you, I could change. But I didn't. This is all I've ever known. I go to men for money. That's my job. That's how I survive." I felt the world crumble beneath my feet. I had built everything, my life, my future, around the belief that she was the woman I could trust, the one who would stand beside me. But now, I realized that she had never truly been that woman. Just as I was about to walk away, a man stepped out from behind her. He was taller, his eyes cold and calculating, and there was something about his presence that made my blood boil. He smiled smugly when he saw me. "Ah, so you're the new guy," he said with mock amusement. "Welcome, my man. It's good to meet you." The man's words hit me like a punch to the gut. He wasn't just some stranger. He was Mandela, the very man she had been with before me. The man she had left because, according to her, he talked too much. Mandela laughed. "Yeah, she told me you were different. I guess you're just another man she'll deceive until she finds someone better." He turned to her with a grin. "You've got a talent for this, don't you?" I stood there, silent, my heart heavy with anger and disappointment. More men had come and gone, all claiming the same thing. She had lied to them too. Each one had their own story. Each one had been promised something that she never intended to give. I had been just another chapter in her never-ending game, and I had been foolish enough to believe in her. As the truth hit me like a flood, I realized something painful but freeing. I had been living a lie. I had let myself be swept up in the illusion of love, in the dream of a perfect life with a woman who wasn't real. But now, with the full weight of reality crashing down, I knew I had to let her go. "I'm done," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I deserve better than this. I deserve honesty, not lies. I don't want this life with you. I don't want to be part of your games anymore." Her eyes welled with tears, but she didn't try to stop me. She didn't fight for me. She just stood there, helpless, as I turned and walked away. As I walked down the street, the weight of the last few months pressed down on me. The disappointment was overwhelming. I had believed in her, in us. But now, as I left her behind, I knew I had made the right choice. I thanked God, quietly, under my breath. Thank God we didn't have children together. Thank God there was still time for me to rebuild. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had wasted so much time that I could have spent focusing on what really mattered, on a life that was true. I deserved better, and though it hurt, though it cut deep, I had to walk away, knowing that I would never again settle for lies. My future was still ahead of me, and I wouldn't let anyone else steal that from me again.